Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about 2023 color trends in interior design. So this is a bit of a prediction video where I am going to take a look at where I think color is headed in the new year. And also I'm going to be doing a prediction of where I think Benjamin Moore thinks color is going to be moving in the new year and providing sort of my stab in the dark as to what I think they're going to pick for the 2023 color of the year. So if you're not familiar, all the different paint companies every year around this time come out with their own palettes of where they think color is headed. Benjamin Moore being probably, I think, the best at it because they're just really thoughtful of how these colors are all going to play together to create a really cohesive palette, which I'm going to be doing a video on that in a few weeks when they actually release the palette. But in this video, we're going to be predicting where I think color is going to be headed and where I think Benjamin Moore thinks color is going to be headed. This is also a collaboration video. I've invited some people from some amazing interior design YouTube channels that I really admire, great friends of mine, to come on and share what they think is going to be the color of the year and where they think color is headed. Let's get going and call up those three YouTubers, and then at the end, I'm going to give you my prediction for 2023. Jorge, hello, how's it going?
Hi, friend. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Okay, so thank you so much for being on this little collab with me. It's very exciting. I really wanted to talk to you because I think your style is very modern and I think it's quite monochromatic, and I thought that would be really interesting to sort of hear your perspective on color, especially as a DIY expert, because everybody that watches my channel knows that I am all thumbs and I am not a good DIYer, but yours are like honestly the best on YouTube, to be quite honest. I mean, you know, Lone Fox is good, Sorry Girls are good, but like yours are just my style.
Thank you so much. I love DIY. I dream about DIY when I'm sleeping. It never stops.
Good. I'm glad, because I have nightmares about DIY, so that kind of makes two of us, I guess. But let's talk color. I would love to hear what you think of kind of where do you think color trends are going, especially in the world of like different design styles that are becoming more popular, coastal grandmother, cottagecore, much to my chagrin. And again, coming from your really modern, monochromatic sort of perspective, sort of where do you think color is headed? What do you think is going to happen for 2023? Are we going to see green? Is green still going to be trendy, or are we moving on to something else?
Well, first of all, I will say, I think in this world where we are embracing, it seems, neutrals and beiges and whites and blacks, and that's kind of the direction that I tend to lead in. But I feel like we're really appreciating sort of this retro, vintage decor pieces that we kind of want to bring in and kind of warm up a space. And so my prediction for the 2023 Benjamin Moore color of the year is Love Affair. The reason I say this is, now this color I think is such a beautiful color. Some might call it plum. I think it has a little bit of like a red undertone to it. Now, this is a little bit of a surprise to myself, but the reason I'm going for that's my prediction, and I'm just throwing something in the air here, is that this color, I think, is a great extension to maybe a space that already has color, a great extension to a color palette. But for those like myself who love neutrals, who love just black and white with a little bit of color, it's one of those that doesn't feel so intimidating, in my opinion. It brings in a little bit of color. It has sort of this muted undertone to it, which I think feels warm and it feels inviting, but at the same time, kind of feels a little bit retro, but feels a little bit, I guess, sophisticated, quote unquote, for lack of better words.
Okay, that's really interesting. So it's like a little bit red, but also some little bit pinky. It's almost that 90s Dusty Rose making a comeback, which is, can I just say, I don't want to like spoil anything because I am going to share my color of the year later in the video, but I think we're on the same page. I think I do agree. I think I'm seeing this color all over the place. I was just at IKEA. I was at CB2 the other day. I think these earth tones are super popular. There's a little bit leaning more pink. So I think you might be onto something.
And I feel like, yeah, this color definitely, I feel like, is derived from nature, but still it's kind of one of those like dramatic colors that, it translates well through the seasons, whether it be bringing in a little bit of comfort to like a gloomy winter, or kind of playing off of a promising blooming spring.
Now, okay, I have to ask, because I'm going to give you my thoughts too. If this is the color of the year, and I do think it's a color that is very trendy right now, even if it's not the color of the year, I do agree with you. Are you happy with this choice? For you, are you happy with this choice, or do you think, or no? What do you think?
Personally, for me, I am happy with this space. Now, I lean, like I've said, kind of more neutrals. I like to just just keeping my space kind of neutral, calming. But every once in a while, I'm like, I want a little bit of spice. So a color
Yeah.
like this is one where I would bring in, maybe I wouldn't paint a full room this color, maybe a powder room, I don't know.
Mm.
But maybe just a little bit, whether it be through the textiles. I love switching out throw pillows, a
Yeah.
little bit of work, bringing in my DIY. I will paint canvas piece like every other week.
Yeah, I'm less enthused. But I mean, look, I say this as a person who is like actually wearing a pink sweater right now, which is rare for me because I hate pink. I don't love this. No, don't get me wrong. Like, I love your pick because I think you're right. I think this is the direction it'll probably go. But I'm seeing this color more and more, and it is. I will say it's a bit more of a sophisticated pink than the millennial pink that we've seen, like First Light, which I know was color of the year several years ago. So I do like that it's maybe a little bit more sophisticated. But I just have too many 90s Dusty Rose flashbacks, PTSD happening for me. We had this carpet in the living room, and I left it for dead back in 1993. And unfortunately, it's back. And I do agree with you, though. I think it works with a lot of different design styles. I think like it can go earthy. It can also go floral. But ultimately, for me, I'm ready to let go of that color forever, and it's back with a vengeance. But that's okay. It's just because I don't like it doesn't mean other people can't love it too. So I do think it's probably a solid pick, even if I'm not super jazzed about it. Okay, Jorge, well, thank you so much for chatting with me.
If it happens to be right, I told you so. And if it's not, thanks.
James, hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Nick?
Good. Okay, so I brought you into this little collab that I'm doing because I think you're just such an expert on paint specifically. You know, I just think like you know all the colors of the year, you're following them all. And I just think if anybody knows anything about what's happening with paint, it's going to be you. So, okay, I want you to tell me what you see in the paint world as being the trends for 2023, and ultimately, of course, what you think the color of the year is going to be from Benjamin Moore.
Well, I think it's important to define what we envision the color of the year is supposed to be in general, right? Is it like a dynamic color that really is supposed to stand out? Is it the color that you will actually paint your house with? Something that is going to be a little more neutral? Or are they the big, bold, dynamic colors that you might want to throw on your kitchen cabinets or something, right? We're starting to see a lot of these color of the years come out with other companies, like Behr is actually the most recent one, and they picked an off-white. Like they picked, I think it's called blank canvas, like quite literally a canvas color, which at first glance seems really boring.
It does seem boring,
right?
yeah.
It seems super boring, and it's a bit reminiscent of Simply White by Benjamin Moore a few years back.
Hey, don't knock the Simply White. It's still my favorite white. I love my Simply.
No, but it's interesting because the way they arranged it was they had blank canvas as your canvas walls, and then they would throw dark navy blues and forest greens at it to support it. So in that sense, the color of the year ends up just being that sort of neutral color, and then you can throw whatever color you want on top of it. Because I do think the trend moving forward are more dynamic, saturated colors. People are getting a little tired of the dusty, kind of grayed out colors. Now we want to see pure saturation, brighter like hues of blue and green and even purple and plum, all those colors I could see happening. So if it was me, for my color of the year, I'm really into like honey mustard Dijon kind of colors lately. I don't know. I love warmth. I really love warmth. And you can't get much warmer than like a gold kind of bronzy, brassy yellow. So I found a color by Benjamin Moore called Peanut Butter. And that's the one that I'm going to go with for my color of the year.
I think they're going to go with yellow. Interesting. Is it like a beigey yellow, or are we talking like yellow?
It's actually more of... it's a combination of brown, a little bit of orange.
Okay.
So like peanut butter, it is a bit brown, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think kind of like, metallic, not quite gold, not quite brass, but more bronzy in that sense.
So more of, you think we're going to see more beige next year? Could we get any more beige? Yeah.
Yeah, we've come full circle,
Yeah.
What's old is new again, and gray is coming out, beige is coming back in,
Right.
But I think more bold, colors will be featured more prominently.
I have to ask though, is green over? Because green had such, like, as terms of the colors of the year, I think everybody pretty much universally picked green. And green was definitely very hot. One could say it still is. Do you think that green paints as important or as popular as sort of they were before? And do you think that might be the direction they go? Or you think, no, they're not going to pick green again?
I don't know if they can pick green again, because we had Aegean teal, right? We had October mist, November rain, which was my choice for last year as well. The nice thing about green is there's so much variety within green. You have your deep forest greens, your teals, your sage greens. Personally, I like to interpret green as kind of the next step from gray, right? So we had a lot of gray, but now we want more warmth. We want more of an organic flow, and green does that, right? So instead of gray cabinets, maybe a sage green cabinet. So it's a nearly neutral. That's how I like to put it. So I can see that happening more and more and more.
Anyway, so you have definitely put your mark down as being more of a yellowy sort of mustard peanut butter color. Interesting. Okay, well, we'll see if you are right.
Probably not.
Or not. Well, I mean, they have millions of colors pretty much, so I would be really surprised if you nailed it. But even if you're close, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Okay, thanks, James.
Thank you, Nick.
Hey, Paige, how's it going?
Hi, Nick. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for being on my channel. This is a fun collab. So we're actually friends. Like, we actually DM each other and stuff on Instagram.
Yeah.
And so I'm super excited that you came on to do this collaboration, because like I've always thought of you as like the cool girl of YouTube. Like, you're just like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm in high school again, and I'm like, does Paige like me? I hope she does, because you're like effortlessly cool,
Oh, you're so nice. I was so excited when we started chatting in the Instagram DMs. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
YouTube friends.
Yeah, because if I'm cool, and I don't think that I am, it's a lot of effort. But for you, it's like Paige walks in and you're like, God, I want her to like me. I don't know. There's something about you. So anyway, thank you so much for being on this collaboration to chat about sort of trends and color specifically, because I wanted you on because your style is like, it's so different than mine. And I love that. I always talk about my channel, like, just because it's not my style doesn't mean that it's not great. And I can appreciate it even if it's not something that I would do. And you definitely, like, your style is so cool, but you're different than me, and I love that, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I agree. I love how YouTube has a ton of different designers that have different styles.
Yeah.
It just makes it more interesting to watch.
Yeah, because it's like, it's art. You can appreciate it even if it's not something that you would necessarily do yourself, and that's part of what life is about. So anyway, thank you so much for being here and talking color with me. I would love to talk to you a little bit about where you think design styles are headed and how that is influencing color. And then ultimately we can talk about what Benjamin Moore is going to pick for their color of the year, because I would love to see your sort of stake in the ground.
So I personally think that people are going to start incorporating color more, just in general. I think, minimalism and a lot of neutrals have always been what's in play. And I think people are going to start taking a little bit more design risks. I think during the pandemic, people started watching design YouTube. People started, watching AD home tours and trying to find where their style lands. So I just think incorporating color is going to be just a little bit easier.
And I always think like minimalism hasn't gone away. It's just changing, right? Like, so we used to see that sort of museum type space where you had like these YouTube bros that would talk about their minimalist spaces, and they were like, a gray couch with a gray coffee table in an all white room, and be like, it was like a race to be who could be the most minimal. We've kind of moved past that, and the palette's warming up. It's becoming, those beiges and creams and a little bit more livable. And that's a lot, I think, to do with the pandemic, people spending more time at home and realizing they want a space that's really comfortable and like a, just a safe place for them to go to at the end of the day. And now we've seen maximalism, right? So we're seeing this sort of a lot of color. Is maximalism like going to become more popular, something maybe a little bit more accessible for people? Because sometimes it's a bit maybe overwhelming for some, but either way, you think that's where it's headed, and there's going to be more color just in that.
Yeah. I think like even minimalists they're not going to become maximalists now. I think like you kind of, go towards one way or the other, but I think you just don't go as far. I wouldn't say I'm a maximalist, but I'm not a minimalist. But I wouldn't say I want like a ton of stuff. I still want everything to feel clean. I think it's just, finding that balance between all of these design trends. Like, I think a good example is the boho trend that happened for a long time. People just went ham on it. And just decorated their entire homes in boho. But I think now it's more like, maybe have your sofa be a boho piece, but then, have a Danish bookcase kind of thing instead of going all in one direction.
So in terms of Benjamin Moore next year, so green was super popular, is still super popular. Do you think green is sort of here to stay? These earth tones, obviously, I think this is, a lot of this pandemic stuff has made people think I got to bring the outdoors in. So is that still going to be at play, do you think?
Yes, I personally love green. Green is my favorite color, especially like a darker green. I just don't think you can ever really go wrong with it. And maybe, people aren't going to be painting their entire room or a wall green. Maybe you'll see it in other areas. But I just consider green a neutral, and I think it always brings it weirdly has some warmth to it, whereas a blue feels a little bit more cold. So I just think green is never really going to go out of style. I mean, maybe talk to me in a few more years, but I think it's definitely going to enter into 2023.
Yeah, and with the beige and brown trend that we've obviously seen so much of, brown and green so obviously go together because, well, we see them all the time in nature for a reason, right? With those little pops of color, because that's what you see in nature, and nature does it best. And if it works there, it works in your own home as well. So I do agree that because oftentimes with furniture and flooring, there's so much wood already there. Green pairs so beautifully with that.
It does.
Just right away, like before you even start. And even October Mist, which was Benjamin Moore's color last year, is a warm green, right? So you can have some of these like olive tones where you have these sort of yellow or beigey undertones to green, and it does warm it up quite a bit. It doesn't have to be sort of a bit more of a chilly blue green. It can be a little bit warmer, and I think those have been the ones that have been really popular. So. And that coupled with the like rust colors and the beiges and the browns and all that stuff and chocolate browns and all that, I think has been really popular. But do you think, what do you think next year, if you were to pick your color of the year, what do you think it's going to be for Benjamin Moore? What's your prediction?
So it's funny because on my channel, I'm just constantly talking about putting color into your home, but my prediction actually is a neutral. So it's kind of funny that I'm going with this, but I love this color, and it's the Benjamin Moore Shiitake Mushroom, and it's kind of this like darker beige color that has some almost green hues to it. I'm not saying to maybe paint your walls this color. I think that the trend in color is going to be painting more trim or, your bookshelves or other areas of your home, throwing in anything but white, I guess. I just think that this color is going to make any space feel warm, and I personally love it. I've already talked about it quite a bit on my channel in the last few videos, so that's my prediction.
There you go. So I think, and I think it works beautifully with like cottagecore and those design styles which are really, again, that kind of agrarian lifestyle where people want to like leave the downtown city life and go live on a farm somewhere, which honestly, with the way sometimes the world feels like a really freaking good plan. And so I get it. I sort of make fun of all the mushroom motifs that we see everywhere on cottagecore, but
I'm not saying to do
it's
that.
a beautiful color, and I think it really works with that style. Yeah, it fits into a lot of different styles. I think it's a pretty solid pick. I think those beige brown tones are very popular, and it works with a bunch of different styles.
I think there's just so much to it, and it adds such warmth, which is, I think, the direction that people want in design. After we went through this like huge gray area, we want more warmth. So switching over from gray to more of a taupe, and I don't know, I like it.
Those beigey colors with kind of a wink of green have been really popular, so I think it's a pretty solid choice. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, Paige, for your time and for sharing with us your wisdom. I think it's a solid pick. We will find out in a couple of weeks what Benjamin Moore picks, but either way, regardless of what they pick, I think you're pretty right on where the trends are headed for next year.
Yeah. I hope I win.
Yeah, there's no prize. There's no prize or anything. So good luck to you. Yeah. Okay, talk to you later. Thanks, Paige. Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, so that was all super interesting. I think, I don't know. I think yellow is interesting. I thought James with the mustard, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's where it's going, but like, you know, he seems to think so, and he might be right. We don't know. I mean, they've got millions of colors, so let's be real. None of us are actually going to be right, but I think Jorge's really onto something with this sort of pink earthiness, but still that bit of a dusty. I think it's a little too pink for me. Well, I hope. I say that as I wear a pink sweater, so like, obviously, I contradict myself all the time, but whatever. So what is my prediction? Where do I think color is going and what do I think the color of the year is? I think Benjamin Moore is going to pick, my stab in the dark is burnt sienna. And that is very much a bit of an earthy sort of terracotta, but with just a little bit of pink. I think Love Affair that Jorge picked is a solid choice, but I do think that's a little bit dusty rosy to me. I think that's a little too pink than what they're probably gonna go, although it is a beautiful color. But I'm personally gonna go with burnt sienna because I think it just leans a little bit more in the beigey orange with just a little touch of pink in there. So that's where I think color is really headed. I think we're still going to see an extension of the greens that were really popular in 2022. I do think those will continue to be trendy, but again, they could surprise us because pink is pink never really goes away. It's always a popular color. And the other earth tone that I think is really popular is sort of beiges and oranges and tans and things like that. So I think that's where they're gonna go. Will I be right? Probably not. But I want to thank those creators for coming on and sharing their thoughts with me. If you want to check out their channels, they are linked down below. And thank you very much for watching this video. I'm going to link here to the Benjamin Moore Color of the Year video if they have announced it already. So maybe you can see if I'm right or not if you see this in a couple of weeks. If not, I'm going to be linking to last year's so that you can check that out. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.